Hello and welcome to episode 2 of our podcast, Simply Holistic Living. In this episode, we've got Clare Grady. Clare is a nutritional therapist and a great advocate for healthy eating and lifestyle medicine. Clare is the owner of A New Wellness, a Galway-based holistic nutritional therapy practice in Oranmore in County Galway. And Clare chats to us today about food as energy for life, as energy for our bodies, and she gets us to think about what we eat and how we eat and the simple changes that we can make today in our lifestyle so that we can feel better. I've certainly enjoyed talking to Clare, and I know you will too, and she's got some great tips for us to put into practice. So I'm here with Clare Grady, naturopathic nutritional therapist, and she is based out of her practice, A New Wellness, here in Oranmore.
That's me.
And I'm so excited to get to talk to her all about nutrition. What we eat is what we are, and our lifestyle. So Clare, maybe first of all you could tell me a little bit about your practice and how you came to do this work.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I graduated just over 10 years ago now, and I've been in practice since. But previous to that, I worked in sports marketing and event management in the UK, and it was a very different lifestyle. And I just found, I suppose I didn't really know anything about nutrition. I didn't know anything about really looking after myself or taking care through the food that we eat and the choices that we make daily. But I knew that my internal environment was not matching up with my external environment. I just felt like everything was moving so quickly, and I felt like I was not able to keep up. And although on paper I was ticking all the boxes, career-wise, making money, traveling a lot, lots of big sports events, meeting some celebrities, I just kind of felt a bit withered. Like that, I suppose I decided to think, well, there has to be a better way of doing this. I have to, I was putting on weight. I didn't have a great diet or lifestyle.
Right, okay.
Most sporting events are evenings or weekends. There's nearly always a glass of Prosecco in your hand. I remember my final year with work, I think I was taking over 40 flights a year.
Oh my!
It was getting really, really busy, and I just started to feel like food needs to be the priority for me.
Okay.
Movement of my body really needs to be a priority, and I need to find ways to, like pockets in your day, just to de-stress. So I guess roll on 14, 15 years after studying nutritional therapy, and I think I've learned a lot along the way. And I think the biggest thing is that I suppose those of us who have challenged the most kind of have the most to teach you, right? Because they've experienced different things and they can impart what they've learned along the way. And I really feel like that's a lot of my practice, is trying to impart the information that I've learned in a really easy, manageable way for people to take home. And just little, I suppose one of my mantras is like small, consistent changes.
And you've done that yourself.
Yeah. So I feel like I know the struggle that people feel when they're looking at the top of the mountain from the bottom saying, how do I get to be that person? But it is really just small, consistent changes daily. And you really start to understand that working with clients one-to-one and just working with yourself. I suppose the idea of biohacking, the idea of trying to figure out what it is that makes you tick. So biochemically different and we're so individual that really the core of it is figuring out what works for you and then using that momentum to make the changes that you need to on a day-to-day basis.
And is that looking at the food that you're eating, what's affecting you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It encompasses so much. And I suppose if we just break down like my title, Nutritional Therapist.
Yes.
So there's nutrition side of things. So you're looking at the food that you find at the end of your fork. Like, what are you consuming 3 times a day? What are you purchasing when you go into the supermarket? What are the building blocks for your body when you open your cupboard and you open your fridge? Those things are hugely important. But then there's the therapy side of things.
This is the naturopathic.
Yeah, I suppose the naturopathic side. It's looking at the behaviours that we've learned, our ideology and our beliefs around food.
Yes.
I suppose our beliefs around our body as well. And then trying to untangle a little bit of the stories that we've told each other or ourselves over the last, however long we've been on the planet. And a lot of that does come down to a bit of diet culture. We've been kind of conditioned in a certain way that our body is really there to be an example of perfection when actually it's not. Everybody is worthy. Everybody at every size is worthy and is valuable. And we can be healthy at a lot of different sizes.
It's not about weight.
It's not about weight.
Okay.
It's about health. Yeah. And so looking at that and changing some of these ideas and maybe relearning things that we've learned incorrectly over the years is really important. And that's really where the holistic side of it comes in.
Yeah, so it's not a calorie intake kind of stuff.
No, I don't count calories. And really, I often, when clients come to me with that mentality, it can be really hard to undo that because you've been doing it for years.
Okay.
And it's kind of like the default that we fall into.
Yeah.
But I often will say to clients, unfortunately, your body doesn't work like that. It doesn't count by numbers. It doesn't live by numbers. It doesn't calculate your worth and your ability through the calorie intake. And instead, if you want to prioritize your focus on something, you should really focus on how much color and variety. Make that the challenge.
Okay.
Make the challenge be how many portions of fruit and veg can I consume today and then tomorrow and then on a weekly basis, how much variety am I exposing my body to? Okay. Because really that's where the Elena Brower, I don't know if you've heard of her, she's a yoga.
Tell me more about her.
Yeah, she's a beautiful yoga instructor from the west coast of the US, but she has this beautiful phrase that food is like life force directly into your body.
Okay.
So if you want to fill that space inside, if we want to nourish our soul, if we want to really fill ourselves internally, and we want to use food to help us nourish, like as a form of self-care, then that is allowing directly life force into your body. But only if you choose life-giving foods, which are as fresh and as colourful as possible. So super simple to think about.
Yeah.
But often if we prioritise that over the calculation of numbers, our bodies not only respond quicker and respond better, but the overflow you start to see. So you see it in the hair, skin and nails. You see it in your personality. You've improved sleep. You've better mood. You may have weight loss as a result, and that's fantastic. But metabolically, your body is working better.
Yeah, so you're a healthier person. You're
healthier overall for all your systems. Your
Yeah.
cardiovascular system, your detoxification, your reproductive, your skin health, endocrine system, if it's a thyroid or an insulin concern. So all of those systems are affected because of the foods that you're consuming and the choices that you make daily.
So somebody comes to Clare, just bring me through, they come, I think I was like a couple of months ago, I'd been so busy with the business, I forgot about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I thought, okay, Julie, pull back here and start, looking at this kind of approach and what am I eating, what am I doing? So somebody like me comes and they're stuck and they're busy and their food is full of processed frozen food, like I know my fridge was.
Yeah.
What's the first step
first of
that
all,
you go through?
There's nothing wrong, right? First of all, food is not morally good or bad.
Yeah.
Okay. All food is valid. However, if you're not reaping the benefits, if your body is not feeling energized, if you're feeling sluggish, then you want to know that there's other ways that you can fuel your body, I suppose, or nourish your body in a way that not only helps you physically, but emotionally and mentally and socially, because all of that is connected. So what I would say to you is, okay, well, first of all, you'll come to me, you'll complete a full case history form. I will have a full up-to-date blood draw and I will look at all of that. So I sit back and I kind of look at you from afar. Okay. And I'll have an idea of how your body is functioning, what your main concerns are, and a standard type diet that you would be consuming, on an average day. And I will pick out all the really good things that you're already doing. Because the reality is most of us have a really good foundation. Okay. So we might have a really good start to the day. We might have a really good end to the day. We might have forgotten about the middle of the day and engineered lunch out, for example. Yeah. Or you might have a lot of clients who come to me and it's actually the routine of their day that is the biggest problem. Okay. So it's not necessarily what they're choosing, it's just that they have no regularity. So your body doesn't know when it's being fed or when its eating time is. And so that's a stressor. Or we have a lot of people who are really, really busy. Yeah. And, life is busy. We live in 2023, I think one of the most common phrases from most people is if you ask how you're doing, you're like, God, I have 1,000 things to do,
Been there, said it.
Yeah, of course, we've all said that. And I suppose that glorifying of the busy has become the norm, which actually is not conducive to health for many people. And that can really make us feel overwhelmed. And so then adding the should be of what I should be consuming or should be eating, that actually adds more stress. Yeah. So let's look at what your foundation is. Let's look at what you're doing really well already. Yeah. And then it's the small, consistent changes daily.
Okay, so even if it's one thing that we change.
Yeah. So we focus on how can we get better sleep, for example. So that's a lifestyle choice or change.
Yeah.
We might look at a supplementation routine because you might have something that you're really deficient in or that you're not getting enough from the foods that I can see. And so by topping that up, that automatically that starts to feel better, right? Because you can use the supplements to transition from where you are to where you'd like to be, right?
Okay.
And then you use the food and the lifestyle choices as a maintenance.
Yes.
Or just say dinner is a really, and for most Irish people, dinner is the really key meal of the day.
Yeah.
It's meat, 2 veg, it's usually lots of variety. Breakfast maybe not so great, lunch not so great, or there could be a big issue with snacking, where we kind of snack.
Yeah.
And then in the nighttime we have this big meal, right? Which often isn't conducive to how our body really wants to work. So change in those things. Small, simple things that make sense, that resonate with you. I meet you where you are at and I say, right, do you think that you're able to make these X, Y, and Z changes?
Yeah.
And you say, actually, I can
It's
totally do that.
Rather than being overwhelmed.
I can totally do those changes.
Yeah.
And then we meet back up again in 5 to 6 weeks. We make sure that that new level of foundation has been implemented. And then we might add and change as a result of whatever your end goal is, because that's what I'm really trying to work towards. So for the client will always come with an end goal.
Yeah.
And so I'm just providing the steps for them to get there.
Yeah.
But you guys do all the work.
Yeah.
I'm just there as a guide, to ask the questions and to draw out the information. And often clients, kind of come to me and they think, you're going to have all the answers. Well, actually, you have all the answers because you're the ultimate authority on your body.
Yeah.
I just need to help you navigate a little bit.
Yeah. So it's just needing that advice from somebody like yourself that can say, And also looking at the bloods is interesting.
Yeah, bloods is really important because everything that we do with nutritional therapy is science-based.
Okay.
So it's all evidence-based, it's all research-based, a lot of random controlled placebo trials.
Yeah.
And we want to look at what the research is telling us. The lens of the scientific side is, yes, this fits this box. However, your biochemistry might be different. So we need to look at subclinical from blood draws as well. And we want to be open to that. What works for you may not work for me.
Yes.
And that something different might be needed to personalize it for you. And that's what really makes it key.
Yeah. Because I know I've done things in the past where, I'm sure others have, you go to the health food store and you go, oh, I get this supplement and this supplement. And I got to the stage where I thought, I actually don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. What am I feeding my body? Why am I taking all these supplements?
And one part of what I do is I just provide supplement consultations. Because often people will have a cupboard full of supplements at home. And I'm laughing because I'm the same. And you're all at home looking at that cupboard thinking, okay. And you might have your B vitamins in there or your maca or ashwagandha or one of these things that you've heard about or you've got your green juice or your protein powder or maybe you've collagen in there because that seems to be the popular one right now. And you're looking at all these things and you're thinking, are they doing any good? Are they working? And I lecture with the College of Naturopathic Medicine on supplements in practice because so many of us go out and we buy assuming that they're all equal when they're not.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the knowledge of a professional like myself who can help guide you to the best.
Yeah. And I assume supplements can have a negative if you don't know what you're doing. And you're taking a variety of supplements. Yeah. One could be negatively impacting the other.
So a lot of it comes down to the non-actives that are in there. So you might have a lot of fillers, binders, or excipients that are often perceived, I suppose, as pharmaceutical, where they just use as flow agents to move through the machine or they keep the fat-soluble vitamins and the water-soluble vitamins together so that the tablet doesn't disintegrate or the capsule doesn't become all gloopy and stuck together. So a number of those can actually irritate the gut. And if we have digestive issues, which many of my clients that would come to clinic would have an initial digestive discomfort of some shape or form or maybe a diagnosis of IBS, like under that umbrella term, a number of different presenting symptoms. By taking those non-actives consistently, you might actually just be continuing to irritate.
Yes. Yeah. So what you think you're doing correctly.
Yeah. And then a lot of people think, they're just supplements. They're nutritional supplements. Yeah. But if you're on prescribed medication, you still need to make sure that there's no contraindications.
Yes. Yeah. I know that's something I had felt very overwhelmed by the whole supplement.
Absolutely.
And, and then you Google stuff and then, it's like...
don't Google. You will get
God.
the fear. Yeah.
And I ended up with a naturopath in another part of the world, and that was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
So
it's just to get some clear guidance, just to invest in that. Okay, look, I really want to take supplements. My life is busy. I feel like the bucket's empty. I can use the supplements to maintain my levels or my requirements. So that helps you, like your little force field, right? It helps you go out there and have your busy days, but still come home and be able to feel protected, like you've done something to help your body, and that you're not, I suppose I say to clients, you're not going to the ATM and trying to take out money when you're already in the red.
That's a very
you
good
need
way
to
of
have
looking
something
at it.
in the bucket, right? You need to have something that's going to help you give you that lift. And supplements, they are a transition. They're not something that you want to be on all the time. But there are some that you can take long term that can help support you through stressful or difficult periods of your life, or can help support you digestively or with detoxification or reproductively, for example. So those things are important to keep in mind, but it's also important to get the right one for you and to choose the best option available.
So that's a whole other side that's interesting. So you've got the food, you've got the supplements. You've,
and the lifestyle recommendations on top of that.
I presume you recommend different movements.
Yeah, like for me, a lot of it has been a personal journey. And for most people, they'll have experimented with different things to try and help, meditation or yoga or yoga nidra practice, or they might try journaling. They might be into a gratitude practice, or they might not do anything except for go out and walk the park or whatever it is every 3 times a week. And actually, that is a meditative practice for a lot of people, or a mindfulness practice. But unless we bring our awareness to the importance of making sure that we find pockets in our week and in our day to help us get out of that sympathetic into parasympathetic, your body loses its ability to do that, and it can stay.
What's sympathetic and parasympathetic? Can you explain that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we have 2 arms of our kind of nervous system. I suppose we're very used to hearing things like fight or flight. So, I suppose when we think back, it's very rudimentary response that we have as human beings. So if you stepped off the footpath and a truck came and you were just jumped back onto the footpath in time, obviously you'd have that spike in adrenaline and cortisol, and you'd feel, that's stress, right? But it would alleviate, right? Because you realise I'm on the footpath now and that's fine, I'm safe, and it would go, or it should go. But for many of us, that kind of feeling of stress, or that raises this nervous system, sympathetic nervous system response, can be a phone call, a conversation with a loved one that's maybe it's not a great relationship. It can be a boss that puts you in a situation that makes you feel a little bit more stressful. It can be the constant email, bing, bing, bing to the phone. There's no boundaries anymore. I remember when I worked in the UK, I speak fluent Spanish, so my market was Spain. So I would get to work at 7:30, but it's already 8:30 there. So you're already battling. They have an hour on you. And then you're trying to stay later in the evening. And I see this with clients who have, North American clients, they have European clients. You're never off. You're always up. Check the emails really quick. Scan for what the stressors are for the day. And then try and get some breakfast, get the kids out the door, and get to work. But that feeling of this being on, the busyness, the glorifying the busy, I suppose, as I mentioned earlier, that can be a long-term switched on, low-grade stress.
So it's like an anxiety.
Or making you feel like a little bit more overwhelmed. You never feel like you fully switch off. And then that can impact your sleep. And if we're not sleeping, then again, you're taking money out of the ATM and you're already in the red. Whereas if you learn how to move from your sympathetic into the parasympathetic. So the parasympathetic is your rest and digest. So finding practices like praying for some people, journaling for others, knitting, or doing something like craft-wise, painting. You might find it when you're creating your candles, like you're in the zone. You're not really thinking about it. You might be doing a yoga nidra. Some people love singing and they're in a choir. Or if you're in a team sport, or if you go to Zumba every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever it is. Whatever gets you out of that stressor and makes you just feel like you've taken it all off and you've left it behind. It's great to do it a couple of times in the week. But if you can find small pockets in the day. So you bring your coffee outside first thing in the morning. You move away from a screen when you're having lunch. You don't have your lunch at a desk. You don't have your lunch.
I need to start doing.
We're all laughing because you're like, she just found me out. Or you just move away from your phone, or you engage with somebody in a social interaction while having your lunch. Move away from your workspace. Get outside if you can. Okay?
Isn't it so simple?
So simple. And if you do have, if you're working from home, and I often find working from home is a lot more stressful because my breaks are putting on the washing machine and then, taking it out and putting the clothes out. And they are breaks in the day, but it's not de-stress. It's not little pockets of de-stress. So whether that comes down to, listening to a podcast like this, while you're having your break or having your cup of tea, or you're getting outside, or maybe you're doing a little bit of movement, like you've rolled out your mat, you might do a bit of stretching. I'm a queen of the kettlebells. I like doing a little bit of a kettlebell swing, right? So I'll move away from the desk. I want to do something completely different. I might just do 15 or 20, take a break, go back to another 15 or 20, just really change your body out of that mental state of thinking and moving into something physical where I can't really think about what you've just done. You come back revived, you feel better, and you're able to take on the day. But you're finding time to break up the feeling of overwhelm or stress.
Yes, okay. And that sounds like there's a couple of simple things you've mentioned there. Just introducing those into your day.
Or you already have them. Like you're thinking to yourself now, no doubt, Julie, actually I really enjoy doing X, Y, and Z. Yeah. I just need to make sure that I do them more.
Yeah. I'm thinking as you're talking, I can move away from the screen.
Yeah.
It's just a practice. Yeah. It's a behaviour.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I've got used to. So, just take that 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. Break away.
And like I have 2 young kids, as I was saying to you. I have 2 boys, there's 2.5 and 1.5. And I often find, I'm great to work until about 2 o'clock, and then I'll pick them up from creche. And then there's a full busy afternoon. And I actually find sometimes I do my best work between like 7 and 9 at night. Yeah, so that's not necessarily like I'm working from 9 till 9. I have this time in the day where I'm able to prioritise my family and, have dinner together and, get all the craziness out of the way. And then when I've done that, I feel like what I've been working on in the morning, I'm able to put like the final touch to in the evening. And some people, before I had kids, I used to love that 6 to 8 in the morning. I used to get so much done. Okay. But now I'm up. And life is busy. So that doesn't work for me. Yeah. So maybe finding time in the evening. Yes. Your schedule doesn't always have to be that 9 to 5. Yeah, yes. Finding that time that works for you. Yeah. Claire, there's loads to think about. And loads of simple things. That's what I love about our chat today. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add to people that are listening? Well, I just don't want anybody to walk away from this podcast and be overwhelmed. Yeah. And hopefully there's a couple of nuggets of information there that they'll take away, especially the de-stress. Yeah. The prioritising the colour and variety, because that's really where we get all of our nutrients from. And if we want to use food therapeutically to be able to nourish us, to regenerate us, like if we think about it, it's the building blocks for our DNA. Yeah. It's how we present ourselves, how we reproduce ourselves. It's how we feel emotionally, mentally, physically. Yeah. That is really the raw material. And like your kitchen is the foundation of a healthy you. So the foods that you consume regularly will become, the makeup of your DNA and your fabric of your. So prioritize that. Yes. Choose organic where you can. Try and choose as much whole grains. Okay. Proteins are great. Lean proteins, but there's also vegetable proteins. Yeah. Get a little bit curious about what's in the supermarket. We're changing seasons now. We're coming into autumn, okay? Yeah. So we'll start to see different veggies and fruits in the supermarket. Yeah. So, for example, in autumn, it's very much the orange, red and yellow spectrum. Okay. So you've got your pumpkins, your butternut squash, your sweet potatoes, your apples are in season now, pears are also in season, Brussels sprouts are coming into season now in September. And really, if we start to choose 1 or 2 of those, every week we go to the supermarket from now till Christmas, they have key phytonutrients called carotenoids and polyphenols. Okay. And what they do is they help support our immune system. So the foods that are available to us at this time of year and throughout the year, if we start to eat seasonally, which is actually really hard because nothing's in season anymore and we can ship them in from everywhere. But if we think traditionally about what we would have grown at this time of year, what would have been available to us, turnips as well, parsnips, like although we don't see those as superfoods, they most certainly are. Those guys are full of the nutrients that our body needs to help support our immune system to keep us healthy. If you're in the next couple of weeks and you want to go out and you want to do something for your body, make a butternut squash soup or get some roast vegetables, maybe a little bit of turmeric on there because turmeric, again, is really anti-inflammatory, really great for the immune system. And just look at those, really focus on those orange, red and yellow veggies for your And I guess if there's a farmer's market close to you, off you go. Yeah, if you can, if you have an organic farm that you can go to their shop when it's open during the week, or if you're able to get to a market and consume the veggies, from seed to shelf, like into your soup pot, that would be incredible. And you're supporting local, so that has a bigger connection. Then I suppose you're thinking about that kind of circular economy. You're connecting yourself, but you're also connecting yourself to Mother Nature, which is closer to us geographically. If you're choosing foods that are grown near us. I mean, not everybody will have that, but no, and not everybody has that opportunity. But so many of the supermarkets are now offering an organic option where you can. And the reason I would say that is because you just have less exposure to toxins.
Yeah.
So if you're using food therapeutically, you want to make sure you're getting the best and not having to detoxify a lot of what you're taking in at the same time.
Yeah. So we're looking at our food very differently.
Well, hopefully, You're seeing it as a tool that it is that can really nourish us and regenerate us.
And make us feel good.
And make us feel good.
And that life force. I love that image.
Yeah,
that
life
you have
force.
of the life force.
Yeah, like, you know,
food is a life force.
You know when you met somebody and they're just glowing.
Yeah.
And their skin is great and their energy is up and their mood is great.
Yeah.
It's not their weight. It's not what they look like. It's their inside is overflowing. Yeah. That glow is overflowing and you can really feel it and see it. Yeah. That's what we want. That's what you want to feel like.
From the inside out.
From the inside out.
Is a good way to
absolutely.
finish off the podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thanks, Mel. Well, lots of food for thought there from Clare Grady, and some really good tips from Clare as well about what we can do today, what we can put into action today just to make that one change. I think that's what Clare was very much emphasising. It all starts with one simple change. Get out there and make that one change today. She's certainly also given me some ideas about some simple changes that I can make. Of course, this episode was sponsored by Julie Clark Candles and Merview Natural Skincare.